Today, we're going to talk about the disconnect that so many Christians feel between their marketplace work and God's mission in the world. We're going to talk about why that disconnect is wrong and what we can do about it.
Marketplace skills are missionary skills.
You know, I talk to a lot of Christians in the marketplace that are frustrated. They just feel this inherent disconnect between what they get up and go do every day or the skills they have in marketplace work and then this passion that they may carry for the Great Commission, for the global mission of God in the world. You know, there's this disconnect, and they say, well, I'm here and missions is there. So how do I connect these dots? I had a really cool conversation just recently with a student from Indiana University, from the Kelley School of Business. He's involved in the Chi Alpha ministry down there on campus. And this kid, he's brilliant. He's in his fifth year, did the 2+3 business degree with a master's degree. So he's going to graduate in 5 years with an MBA. He's a graduate assistant, and like a year and a half ago, already got offers from a big four accounting and consulting firm. I mean, this kid is like top of his class. He's the cream of the crop. And he has been moving and executing this game plan for his life for quite some time now. But then the Lord got a hold of him. And he called me because he knew we work in this space between the marketplace and global missions. And we had this fantastic conversation yesterday because he is really contemplating at least putting all of that on hold. He is supposed to start his new job in the fall. Everything is maneuvering towards that. All the trajectory of his life is maneuvering towards that. But he's feeling like I might be feeling a call from Jesus into full-time missions, or at least I need to explore that. And so there's a year-long program called CMIT that they do with Chi Alpha, and he's contemplating calling this big four accounting firm and saying, hey, can we delay my start date? I know you've invested a lot in me. I know you've put a lot of hope and resources into me starting at the firm, but can we delay this for a year so I can go pursue this missions passion? And so he was really asking me yesterday, you know, have the last 5 years, if I end up in full-time missions work, have the last 5 years of my life just been a waste? All the money I spent for this MBA, all the money I spent on this accounting degree, is it all just a waste of time and resources? And I want to tell you what I told him. I want to say your marketplace skills are never a waste. They are never a waste because we believe that marketplace skills are actually missionary skills. Maybe some of you are out there wrestling with the same thing, right? You're saying, I have these marketplace abilities. You know, I do accounting, or I'm in sales, or I know real estate and real estate development, or I understand financial planning or financial spreadsheets, or whatever your marketplace work might be, great or small. And you're saying, I've got this passion for the Great Commission, but I don't know, like, how do I connect? How do I draw a line between these two things? And I'm just going to encourage you a little bit. But the first thing I want to tell you is there was a little bit of history that I came into contact with this week. I've been reading this great book on the history of Christianity. And the author said, if you really look back at the first and second centuries, if you really look back at the spread of the gospel after the resurrection of Jesus and what we see in the book of Acts, if you look at that historically, yes, there were people like Paul and Barnabas and Peter and Silas and all of those who were missionaries sent out from the church to go plant churches in new places and new lands across, you know, Greece and Turkey and then into the Roman world. But this guy actually said, did you know a vast majority of those churches weren't planted by those people? They were actually planted by traders, by business people, by marketplace people that were going back and forth to these various areas of the world, and they were taking the gospel with them as they went. So many of these early churches can be attributed to business people doing what business people do, making trade, taking their wares and their services back and forth across continents and to new cities. And when they did, they took the gospel with them. And so I would say from the first century, from the beginnings of Christianity, the marketplace has been vital to the global mission of God in the world. But let me give you some thoughts, right? So maybe first of all, you just have a marketplace job, right? And you're asking yourself, gosh, is this a less than role? And I want to tell you, no, it is not a less than role, because we believe that all work is sacred, right? And so if you just work, you just work in your own hometown and community, and you get up and you just go to what we've always termed as a normal, secular job. I want to tell you that redeemed by the gospel, that is not a secular job. That is a sacred calling from Jesus himself. And you can embody and proclaim the gospel wherever you are as a marketplace person right here. You can support missions, you can pray for missions, you can point your life outward towards that calling. But maybe you're an entrepreneur. I have the joy of being around a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of creative people that know how to start things from scratch. And I want to challenge you. Maybe you're an entrepreneur and you could start a business to fund kingdom mission projects around the world. That's what happened to my father. My dad was an entrepreneur. He had been in a number of different businesses, and in the early 90s, the Lord really just started speaking to him, and an opportunity came through a mutual friend, and they decided, gosh, we could start a business for the express purpose of funding the Great Commission around the world. And 30 years later, that has been incredibly successful and has birthed what is now known as the Stone Table. So maybe you're an entrepreneur. I just want to challenge you. Those skills, that marketplace skill, is a great commission skill. But maybe you're like my Chi Alpha friend that I talked to, and you've got incredible gifts in, accounting or, in any number of different career paths or choices. Did you know there are global corporations all over the world that you could take jobs? You could take a job on the Arab Peninsula or in China or in India or in North Africa or places where the gospel is desperately needed. You could take a job using your marketplace skills, and then you could connect with a church planting movement on the ground in that area. Those marketplace skills are not peripheral to the mission of God in the world. Or maybe even further than that. Maybe some of you are called to be part of a business as mission plant somewhere in the world. And you want to give your life to actually starting a business as mission plant in a place that is devoid of the gospel. Because I'm telling you, the marketplace, business, entrepreneurship, business development is becoming an integral part of Great Commission work all over the world. And we need marketplace skills. We need people who understand business in the marketplace to begin preparing themselves to go and embody and proclaim the gospel through business as mission development. And see, a lot of people think this is something new. This is something new and trendy. No, this actually, let's go back to first century, right? This actually is going back to the roots of missions and how the gospel spread around the world from the first century itself. Marketplace skills are not They're not peripheral to the gospel. They are part of God's kingdom plan for the world. But what we have to do is turn our gaze outward. As marketplace people, we have to first start seeing ourselves and the gifts that God has given us as part of God's image-bearing presence in this world. And then we need to say, instead of using those to write my own story, how do I point them outward and embed them in this grand, Great Commission, every nation, tribe, and tongue story that God has been telling since the beginning of time? And so I just want to encourage you, what if every believer, whatever you did, whatever skills God has given you, what if we all saw ourselves as part of that Great Commission call to see Jesus known across the globe, amongst every ethnos, amongst every people group, nation, tribe, and tongue? So let me give you a couple of thoughts, some calls to action that maybe you can take away from this video today. First, there was something I saw in this young man from Chi Alpha and from Kelley School of Business that I talked to here recently. And one that it was his posture. It was his posture. He had a posture of humility. He had a posture of dependence and trust in Jesus. And when we have that kind of a posture to say, Lord, I don't know how all this fits together. I don't know how the gifts you've given me can be utilized for your Great Commission purposes in the world, but I want to want what you want. Would you embed that in me? That posture, I believe, causes the Holy Spirit to act and to bring those ideas and concepts to life in our hearts. So take on a posture of humility like I saw in that young student from IU. Second is really ask Jesus. Say, Lord, I have this story of my life that I've been writing where I'm the main character. And I know that's not the story I've been called to live. I've been called to live as a beloved member of your supporting cast. So would you show me how my story, how my work skills fit into the grand story of redemption that you are telling in the world? And then just pray and say, how can I use my marketplace skills to make you known where you are not yet known? Where is Jesus not yet being worshiped? And how can we be a part of making that nowhere, right? That he is worshiped everywhere, that there is nowhere around the world that he is not worshiped. And just ask the Lord, how can my life fulfill the Great Commission in big or small ways? You know, that is our calling. And so if you're a marketplace believer today, I just want to encourage you. Marketplace skills are missionary skills. This disconnect you feel between where you are and what you do every day and this passion that maybe you have as a follower of Jesus to see the name of Jesus go to the ends of the earth. Those two things are not separated. We can draw lines and we can bring those together for the glory of God amongst every nation, tribe, and tongue. Marketplace skills are Great Commission skills. They are missionary skills. If this conversation encourages you, we would love to stay connected. Go to thestonetable.org/start and connect with our weekly newsletter so we can stay in contact and encourage you each and every week right there in your email inbox. Now, if you'd like, check out this video for some more encouragement in this area.